eventually settled on. This is rice straw. You know, rice being the staple of Japanese agriculture. They use its products for almost everything. And what the samurai learned is that if Fia escapes and runs away, if you take rice straw and gather it into bundles and tie it off with these authentic 16th century rubber bands, inconvenient. If you soak it in water overnight, the fibers swell. They gain weight and density until they take on the approximate characteristics of human muscle tissue. And this gave the samurai something to test their blades with, that 450 years later, there are still no activist groups complaining that the rights of rice straw is being violated.
Well, that's not entirely true.
I'm with you, dear God. In the interest of full disclosure, I said that on stage at a sci-fi convention in Roanoke, Virginia, and a group of college students put together a Facebook group. Advocates for the rights of rice straw. They took a picture of some 450-pound sumo in a diaper, cutting through a bale of hay with a sword. It was an online petition to ban Samurai Dan from cutting rice straw. And they were so happy with it, they wouldn't take it down. Not to be outdone, I was the first one in the comment section, and I wrote, "This is what a degree from Virginia Tech will get you." And I thought I was funny as all get out. Does anybody remember about 12 years ago something horrific happening on campus at Virginia? A mentally disturbed patient took an AR-15 and murdered 30 people. He went nuts with a gun. And when I said, "This is what a degree from Virginia Tech," I wasn't referencing that. All I was suggesting was that if you spent your money for a degree at Virginia Tech, all it was good for was creating bogus groups on Facebook. The university did not see it that way. And I had to write an apology letter for being insensitive. I'm a man, of course I'm insensitive. I should just carry that stamp on my forehead. Sorry! Because they didn't mean it that way. And I just told that joke out here on the East Coast last year when we first got out of our COVID restrictions. And 3 guys in the front row started laughing and giggling. I mean, way more than any of the stories and the jokes should have warranted. I'm like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" And they're like, "That was us!" And I'm like, "Really? Was it?" And they're like, "You know what's really funny? You put up there that's what a degree from Virginia Tech will get you." I'm like, "I know, I wrote it." And they're like, "No, we're not from Virginia Tech." I'm like, "What?" Like, "We're from Liberty University."
Oh, no!
I'm like, "You're from a Bible college and you put that up? You're going to hell." They were you at that? You were not. I'm like, "You're in their spot." All right, so this is rice straw. This is our acceptable substitute, unless you're a Liberty College. Yeah. An acceptable substitute for cutting Fia into small pieces. This is a razor-sharp, folded steel, differentially heat-treated 28.5-inch razor blade. It should cut through weeds. Duh. $10 machete will do that if it's ground properly. It's what it was made for. For the samurai, they were looking for more than just, is it going to hack through these weeds? They were looking for timing and balance and accuracy. See, when you watch reruns of Conan the Barbarian late at night on Cinemax, am I the only one that still does that? Apparently. Darn. When you watch Conan on top of the rocks when he just got the sword, he's going, whoa, and he's making these big figure eights. Those angles are not very effective on the battlefield, partly because of the way armor is constructed and partly just our own anatomy. When you cut downwards with a Japanese sword or any sword, the optimum cutting angle is not a big, wide, flat 45. It's steeper, about 35 degrees down. And now that I've pulled off on myself, watch the cutting, see what you think, and if you believe my angle or my skill is deficient, come tell me about it after the show. I love criticism. Downward diagonal. threw that, she caught it, and none of you cheered. Oh, wait, never mind. I just realized we're in North Carolina. You're not used to seeing a completed forward pass.
Damn.
Now, see, here in North Carolina, you guys are actually adult enough. Those of you that got the Carolina Panthers joke were adult enough to laugh at it. I made that joke in Dallas, and 600 armed anime attendees were going to kill me. They don't like football, and they don't understand it, but you don't mess with the Cowboys. So the Samurai
You don't mess with Texas in general.
They also cut back up. This cut was harder to perform, but it was much harder to defend against because it brought the sword in and up before you could get a chance to block. And samurai armor was actually designed to protect from the top down. They had a divided metal apron called a haidate. Had metal on the outside of the thigh, but since they rode horses, they're cavalry, there was no metal on the inside of the thigh, because if anybody's ever spent time on a horse, you know metal on the inside of your thigh would chafe. And since they were predominantly cavalry, that's how their armor was designed. But as luck would have it, the femoral artery runs. What? The femoral artery runs right up to. Look, his parents let him in. This is educational entertainment. All right, fine. If you take the big shiny sharp thing and you slam it into the inside of someone's thigh, bad things will happen. So they also cut upwards. Hey! I would like to point out that the momentum of that cut, going this way, if I lose the sword, the cut projects this way slightly, but since my arms, it's attached at my shoulders, this way. If I lose the sword, God forbid, no one in our dojo has ever lost their sword cutting, the blade actually goes that way. And my wife either trusts me or wants out of this relationship. So she moved over there.
Well, she knows.
Partly why she did it is this guy has been inching further forwards through the whole show. And she wanted to be there just in case he came rushing forwards to go, I want that sword! That's the wrong way to get it. Does anybody else want a piece of Fiat? Oh. Can you catch this?
Aww.
Alright, samurai, we cut down, we cut back up. And this is the big samurai technique for anyone who's ever seen an epic war film or a Samurai Jack episode.
Woo!
At the end of the episode, there's always the bad guy. He's big, he's hairy, he's got bad breath, barely speaks English. Actually, that sounds like the former governor of California. But at the end of the episode, he's flying towards the camera with the sword up over his head going, ah! Don't take my picture now. This is always what ends up on the internet. Hire this man, and if you don't believe me, go to asin.org. That's Anime Central in Chicago. If you go to their photo journal, I'm the cover of the 2010, because that was my first time there. So I'm the cover going on stage with a purple backdrop. I hate Chicago. But waiting on the other side is the hero of our picture. He's better looking, speaks English, probably gets the girl at the end. But he's waiting to end the governor's part of the movie. I mean the bad guy. While he's flying through the air going, oh! Our hero ends his part in the movie. Go! Hail Mary. We've got Catholics in the back. All right, new guy. We're going long. Are you ready? Dude, I threw that left-handed 20 yards. It hit you on the hands and you dropped it. Welcome to our team. All right. I have one last cut, just for that guy. And anybody who's interested in hitting on my wife. Because she performed circumcision. I can't tell whether you're clapping because it was a cool cut or you're just relieved I didn't actually give the sword to her. Uh-oh, my wife's throwing. Doc, cover the chandelier. She's looking for an open target. No! This is why we're not allowed back in Georgia. Oh!
Touchdown.
If you're from North Carolina, you're being traded. Why are we all...